before we get started, and I'm going to ask Megan to help me with how I word it, but I'm going to ask that we have an executive session afterwards, and it's in regards, I guess, to, you know, annexation and everything. So we'll call it negotiations or I don't know, litigation. So at the end, I'll ask her to do that. So if there's no further discussion, the first item up is a resolution amending the 2016 operating budget, New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services local grant secured by Senator George Amador to assist in furnishing the new Emergency Operations Center with technology upgrades. I would look for a sponsor and a second for that.
Second.
I see Martin and I see Roy, and if we're going too fast, you just let me know. This is a $15,000 grant that the kind senator secured for us, and everybody has a copy of the resolution. It's simply increasing the appropriations, increasing the revenue line by $15,000 and the appropriations $4,716.06 for computer equipment and technical equipment $10,283.94. Any questions? Move it to the full board. Everybody good with that?
Yes.
We'll move on to our next item. Resolution delegating erroneous assessment correction approval authority to the auditing committee. I look for a sponsor and a second.
Second.
Martin sponsored, Bob second. Discussion? Hearing none, move it forward to the full board.
Full board.
Next item is resolution establishing citizen participation plan, Public Works. Look for a sponsor and a second. Bob?
I'll second.
Martin will second. Discussion? Hearing none, move it
Move it full
to
board.
the full board. All right, resolution denying applications for refunds, real property. Look for a sponsor and a second. Denying. I'll sponsor for discussion purposes.
I'll second.
Terry? Discussion?
What exactly are we doing, I guess?
People, I don't want to
Yeah.
go too far here, but people, Megan, are allowed to petition, correct? If they feel that there's an erroneous assessment.
Yeah, usually it comes from the local assessors. They make an application of real property to the director to change tax rolls. And the director of real property looks at the application, forwards that application to the legislature with a recommendation. And these two, she's recommended to deny the correction.
And the reason for the denial was there was no claimed clerical error, unlawful entry, or error in essential fact, which I believe is what's needed in order for it to be
Yep,
corrected.
you got it.
Barring having any of those errors, I don't think you can, right?
Right.
Or could you still move to do it?
The law says that you have to either have those three things, one of those.
All right, pleasure. Move it to the full board,
Full board.
full legislature. Everybody good with that?
Good.
Okay. Next is resolution amending the 2016 operating budget for the sheriff. I'd look for a sponsor and a second.
That's sponsor.
Roy will sponsor, Terry will second. Discussion. He's just transferring from telephone $5,761.44 to the 911 line, I guess that would be, right?
Question.
Go ahead, Martin.
So it's our first month into the new year, first month into the new budget. Was it just misappropriated when he presented his budget, or why are we transferring at the beginning of the year?
discussion on this resolution? Full board, move it to the full board? All right, nobody objects to that? All right, next resolution, or resolution appointing member to the audit committee. Look for a sponsor in a second. Bob Martin. Would remind you we have 2 lines to fill here because it is for the months of February and March. I would move to fill the first line with Ryan, and the second with Barbara. On the amendment? Okay. All right.
I assume that they agreed to it.
They'll let us know when they come. If they don't want to, they can vote no. Well, Ryan was, you know,
I know Barb was expressing it.
yeah, and Ryan was interested, especially of late, with the auditing and how it was handled the first week, so if he's involved with it, there won't be a problem. So we have an amendment, everybody's good with that. Move it to the full board. It can always be amended at the full board if somebody doesn't want it or whatever.
Full board.
All right. And the last resolution I have is a resolution approving abstract of audited claims. Needs a sponsor in a second.
Second.
Bob, Terry. Discussion? Move it?
Move it to full board.
Okay. That concludes our resolution. Last thing we have is other. Anything under other?
Yes, this year we did put money in the budget to hire an actor. And I'm just not quite sure what committee that would go through. If you would take a look at what the qualifications are for that, and start to move that forward to make some sense of that situation. But I'm not sure which committee.
I would say put it on personnel. I would handle that. I think would be fine, and maybe we could, maybe what we could do is come up with, I'm sure we have a job description for what it auditor is.
Job specs already.
You know, maybe she could forward those to me. We could put it on for discussion for the next.
Right. I think there may be some issues that with respect to the charter. It somewhat limits people who can do that job. And I think would in fact limit the person that was eliminated from the position previously. It almost looks like that was written with his picture. But maybe we could take a look at that.
What's it say?
About working for any other outside work, etc. It's a part-time position, so I'd like to take a look at that.
Yeah, let's bring it up. I mean, if it needs to have a charter, charter amendment or whatever, we'd have to ask Megan how to. I saw Martin and I saw Roy.
Maybe it could go through both committees, the personnel and budget and finance, that way everybody on budget and finance. And the other thing is, with the charter, that's in reference to a full-time position, and we're only hiring a part-time position, so I don't see how that.
It's not a problem?
I don't see personally how that could be a problem for
Great.
somebody working.
Well, I don't know for sure until I'm just going by memory, which may not be correct, so.
And if it is an issue, we could always ourselves, like we did when Doug was here, for our term, say that we're okay.
We had that situation with Doug, remember, about working for an outside.
Yeah.
That was a municipality.
But, no, he
So-
also wasn't supposed to own his own business and stuff. He was supposed to solely do work for the county.
Well, anyway, we need to look at that before we make the decision.
Right.
Thanks, Gary. It was my understanding that any of those restrictions weren't supposed to be in the charter, so they were to be removed simply because the positions are, for instance, the auditor is a civil service position. Those are the only qualifications that we can stipulate. So
And it would have to go before the people, part of those changes, or is that a change we can do? How does that?
Regarding the auditor, that would not be one that would have to go to permissive referendum because it doesn't change a power or a duty of the legislature. It's revising what you want to require in a position.
Or the
So-
executive.
Or the executive. So that one you could take care of. That was, I believe, under the proposed local law C of 2015 that we didn't end up acting on.
I was just gonna say, I believe the only thing we voted on for changing the charter was for the county attorney, those restrictions. So yes, the other ones would have to be voted on and passed. So,
Okay, anything else?
I just have one more point of clarification. So if they shouldn't have been in there, why would we have to vote to take them out?
May I respond? Because they're still in there right now, so that it has the strength and effect of a local law. So it's clearer and it makes more sense to take it out, but for right now, the charter is what it is, so we need to amend it. We need to, and I know this has been something you have all discussed, is wanting to change the charter and clean up some of the language in there. So it's on the list, but it's still there right now.
Is what Roy's saying, though, actually going against, I don't want to speak for him, but is it actually going against the law? If it's going against the law, his point's well taken, how could it be in the charter to begin with? Or is it not going against the law, it's just something we don't want and we want to take it out maybe?
I haven't checked the civil service requirements for an auditor, so I'm not sure which portions of that are consistent with civil service law, what are not. As far as local law goes, if you guys want to put qualifications in and require certain things for certain positions, you certainly have that ability to do so to a certain extent. So if the question is our charter illegal when it comes to the position of an auditor, I'm not 100% certain about that because I haven't looked at the civil service rules. But I have looked at the county law regarding an auditor, and it's not too far off on that point. But another thing too is, as the legislature, one of the powers you gave yourself in the charter is the authority to create positions. So even though in the charter it says full-time auditor has XYZ, if you want a part-time auditor, you have the authority to create that position and a little more flexibility with how you would want to hire a part-time auditor. So I think it's something that you could certainly work with.
Well, that's great. It'd be good to get this squared away because, and it's interesting to note that right now, the way the audit is being done is just like in the most perfunctory manner. We're just going there and signing our names as the sheets come up. So it's certainly going to make some sense that, and I'm really glad that the legislature put money in the budget for an auditor.
I mean, I don't want to speak for the rest of the people that audit, but when I go in, I look at the bills. I mean, I look at it, I don't just sign my name.
Right, but you don't know that the purchase is made in accordance with proper purchasing practices. You have no way of knowing that when you look at the bill.
Right. Okay, what else, anything? Look for a motion to adjourn.
no,
Bob?
you wanna get the,
Oh. All right, we don't adjourn and go into executive session, we can do that during finance.
Yep.
Motion to go into executive session for pending litigation. I would ask that the county executive stay and you don't have to hang around. I'll give you this stuff now.
Did you put there?
Motion to go into executive session.
motion.
Terry, motion, I'll second.
You may want to advise that we're not going to conduct any business.
No business will be conducted and we'll be adjourning right after. But